For 7 long years, Marvel couldn't make Blade because they couldn't figure out a way to make vampires fit into the MCU. But they can make Ghost Rider? Let's talk about it. Now, for a while now, actually it's been a few weeks, I've been planning on making a video about Spider-Man, getting back to comics really, especially with, the Spidey Brand New Day coming out this week at the time of recording. But San Diego Comic-Con and the Ghost Rider news kind of changed everything and made me be like, look, I got to talk about this right now. I mean, I knew Blade wasn't happening. I gave up on that a few years back. I gave up on Blade ever happening in the MCU.
It's done. Yes, Mr. Frodo. It's over now.
And I'll tell you, when I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that this movie was not going to happen, when Deadpool and Wolverine, when they brought Wesley Snipes in and had him be a variant of Blade, but he said, he wasn't a variant to me. To me, he was just Blade because he said in an MCU movie,
there's only been one Blade. There's only ever going to be one Blade.
I mean, I felt so bad for Mahershala Ali at that point because, I mean, this is an MCU movie. They brought in the guy, the man, the OG of Blade who started it all, and he's saying in an MCU movie, there's not going to be any other Blades other than him. How were they supposed to then go and put out a Blade movie? How was it supposed to go on from there? So I knew that this wasn't going to happen. I knew it wasn't going to happen. And I knew the thing was dead. But what I did not know was that Ghost Rider was about to happen. So this is the thing that got me. So, Kevin Feige, he comes out and he says publicly, he feels so bad, he feels like such a loser because he could not make Blade with Mahershala Ali happen. He feels terrible about it. But then 2 weeks later at Comic-Con, he brings Ryan Gosling out on stage and is like, hey, everybody, here's Ghost Rider. Okay, now, I don't have a problem with Ghost Rider. No, I don't have a problem with Ryan Gosling. He's a great actor. He tears up everything he gets in. And Ghost Rider is a very cool character. Even the Nicolas Cage movies back in the day, those were great. Well, the first one was. But here's the thing. Now, people made an argument for so long that, they're having trouble to make Blade work because it's vampires. There's vampires. How do you bring vampires into the MCU? How do you make this work? They act like this is such a strange, confusing thing. How can we have vampires in the MCU? They would have been there all along. How do you do it? How do you fit them in? It's just so confusing. Meanwhile, this is an MCU that already had sorcerers, witches, Norse gods. So we can have sorcerers, we can have witches, we can have Norse gods, but vampires, hey, that's where we're going too far. Sorcerers, witches, warlocks, ghosts. Because in the Agatha All Along series, she became a ghost at the end of the series. So ghosts, warlocks, witches, sorcerers, that's all fine. That's all just fine. But it's vampires where you're going too far. That's too much. That's too far out there. However, with Ghost Rider, you can have a man who makes a deal with the devil. So you can have the devil. In this MCU, the devil can be in the MCU, but a vampire that's too much. That's going too far. And clearly, none of this made sense. That type of thinking. It was really pretty ridiculous. But that's what people were saying. And that was, I guess, the large reason for this big delay that went on for years because they just couldn't find a way to make it work. Couldn't find a way to make the vampires work. Also, another thing that caused the delays was scripts were being rejected. Mahershala Ali, he himself was rejecting a lot of these scripts, which of course would cause the delay. But he was rejecting scripts because they were bad.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
And in some of those scripts, he wasn't even the main character. There was one script that they were ready to go with where it would have been him handing things over to his daughter. Blade introducing his daughter and making her the main character while he's in the back in his first movie. So I mean, obviously you can understand why he would turn this movie down. Be like, no, this is not what I've been waiting to make. So he was turning down scripts because they were bad. And Marvel was also turning down scripts, but Marvel was turning down good scripts. So, as things went on and years went by and they weren't able to get this thing going, Ryan Coogler, I'm sure a lot of people already know, Ryan Coogler, who was already working with Marvel, he makes the Black Panther movies and everything. He's already in the Marvel system. So he says, hey, guys, let me do this. Let me direct this movie. I've got an idea. And he brings his treatment over to them. And Marvel looks it over and they're like, no. So Marvel passes on this. As most of you know, he takes that script down to Warner Brothers. It becomes Sinners. Sinners becomes a huge, huge classic as well as a hit movie, a social commentary, and, wins some Oscars along the way. So, yeah, that could have been Blade, but Marvel said no to that. So time is going on, and Blade is just becoming more and more of a debacle. Directors and writers are being brought on, and they end up leaving because, no one can get this thing moving. And the actors are leaving. Actors are asking to be released from their contracts because, they don't know when they're going to make this movie. So this is just becoming a big, big mess for everybody. And I'll give him credit once again, Mahershala Ali. He stuck through it. He hung on to this thing. He wanted it to happen. And, this man, he's a two-time Oscar winner. I'm sure he's got plenty of offers and things, but he wanted to make this movie. He wanted to be Blade. So he stuck with it. He stuck through this whole mess and everything. Things get so ridiculous, and Marvel's going on like this is the most difficult thing that could ever be, making a half vampire who hunts vampires. Like this is some rocket science or something. So David Goyer, the man who wrote the original trilogy, he offers his services. And he's like, hey, you know what? I don't know what the problem is, but give me a call. Let me take a crack at this. I'll make a Blade movie for you. I made 3 of them already. But Marvel doesn't take Goyer up. They don't call him. And they just keep on stumbling on, we can't make this movie. We can't seem to make this movie. That's when things seem really just weird. Like, why is it so hard for them to make this movie? And remember, Blade is something that's been a successful franchise already. So it's not even like it's a risk. I mean, this is going to be a hit. This is like just printing money. So why can't they make it? Why could they not make this happen? Now, it seems very strange unless you know about the rule of 3. Now, what is the rule of 3, you may ask? Well, the late, great Dwayne McDuffie can explain it a lot better than I can.
Came on the Justice League after a very successful run. And during that run, they had added 2 black members to the team. And it was already planned that 2 more black members would join the team very shortly. So when I came on the book, I was told right up front, bring the Black Green Lantern in and bring in Firestorm, who's a kind of a young Spider-Man-ish superhero who's a black college kid. And I'm like, oh, great, okay. And before I knew it, I had broken what I call the rule of 3. And that rule is, in popular entertainment, if there are 3 black people in it, it is a black product. You can have 2 black guys, although it's a stretch. If you have 3, it's a black show. And suddenly it was a black show. And somebody, I think the artist did a pinup with all the black characters, and somebody leaked it and said, that's the cover. McDuffie's going to turn the Justice League all black. He's getting rid of the white guys. Never a plan, never even considered, but it freaked people out, so they're reading the stuff looking for proof. But there is a hardcore piece of the audience whose back goes up whenever you go into these issues, and they don't even realize it. And what kills me about it is when they're writing about it, they're always hyper rational. Look, the fact is there are more white characters, and if you picked randomly, you would end up with all white teams. And the fact that there are 3 black people on this team is statistically ridiculous. I mean, it's obviously a quota. And the quota arguments on fictional teams crack me up. Because I'm sorry, is somebody losing a job here? Which fictional character is losing a job?
In that, Dwayne McDuffie, he was talking about on teams, on superhero teams, which, I mean, actually that still stands right now, pretty much. If you look at the groups, look at any of them across, whether it's a DC movie or Marvel movie, go ahead and look at those teams. Look at Suicide Squad, Justice League, Thunderbolts, the Avengers. Look at the makeup of those teams and tell me that he was wrong about the about the rule of 3. Go ahead. But now, of course, in this case, we're talking about the universe, the whole Marvel universe, and 3 being, who gets to have their own standalone movies. Okay, so now if we're just talking standalone movies and everything, and remember that rule of 3. So first of all, there's Black Panther. Now, Black Panther, this is a $1 billion franchise. Obviously, this is going to happen, so and going to keep happening. So that's one. Then there's Sam Wilson as Captain America, and Sam, they put a lot of work into him. We saw that character grow from being Falcon to getting the shield to becoming Captain America. So that's 2. Now, Blade, it would have been 3. But rule of 3 can't happen. So that's when things got weird. That's when things got strange. Oh, we just don't know how to make this vampire movie because, well, the rule of 3 is definitely in effect. And, I know some people are like, okay, that's absolutely ridiculous. It's nonsense. It may sound ridiculous to you unless you know the history, the early history of Marvel Studios and everything. So now there was Ike Perlmutter, who was the CEO of Marvel. And this man, let's just say, not a friend of diversity. He absolutely refused. He refused to allow movies to be made, solo movies starring people of color, starring anyone of color, and starring women. He did not want that made, not at all. He blocked Captain Marvel. He blocked Black Panther. He did not want those films made. And I mean, you think about it, Black Panther, I mean, not only is it a classic and it's, the only Oscar winner from Marvel Studios so far, maybe ever. But I mean, come on, that's the movie that gave us the best brother-sister dynamic of Shuri and T'Challa in superhero movie history so far. I mean, come on, they're the best, really. That you can't, that combination, that love, it was great. But anyway, Perlmutter, he refused to let these things happen. And remember, Captain Marvel went on to become $1 billion movie too. But he was, for him, it's not even about the money. He claimed he's old school, he claimed that these movies weren't going to make money. That no, global audiences will not pay to see these people just because it's a woman or a person of color in the starring role. They're not going to pay to see it. So that was his stance. He and Kevin Feige, they're bumping heads. They're going at it. And it got so bad that Feige threatened to leave. He threatened to leave. So Disney's CEO at the time, Bob Iger, had to step in and basically just handle things. And he sidelined Perlmutter and, was able to let Feige do his thing. And his thing was to make hit movies. His thing was, to greenlight Black Panther, to greenlight Captain Marvel, and get things going. So now Perlmutter, he stays involved with Marvel until 2023 that they can finally fully get rid of this man and, send him on his way and everything. But remember, just because he's gone doesn't mean that every executive who thinks or feels the way he did was gone. And, the evidence is there that these people still involved. You can see in other things, in Shang-Chi, that movie came out in 2021. We are still waiting for the sequel. We're still waiting to find out what in that post-credit scene, what signal were these rings sending out? Who are they sending the signal to? And Shang-Chi was a hit movie. Why haven't we had the sequel yet? I mean, there's been Guardians of the Galaxy was able to finish their whole trilogy. We've had 4 Thor movies. The Ant-Man, Ant-Man has had a trilogy. Ant-Man has had a full trilogy, and we have not gotten the second Shang-Chi movie. And I would take a trade for Quantumania and Thor: Love and Thunder for one Shang-Chi 2. In terms of diversity, Marvel has actually come a long way from that, first Avengers movie. So, we gotta give them credit for that. They've made some strides. Because, we all loved that movie. We all loved that movie when it was new. But, yeah, you look at it now, it's like, come on, guys. You could have, mixed this up a little bit better than that. In closing, I like Ryan Gosling. I think he's a great pick. I think he's going to be excellent, ghostwriter. The man, he doesn't give bad performances. Ryan Gosling does not give bad performances. I saw Project Hail Mary recently. Loved it. Yeah. Saw Barbie the other year. He did his thing as Ken. He doesn't give bad performances. So, if he's being Johnny Blaze or whichever one he's going to be, most likely he's being Johnny Blaze. He's going to do a great job. He's going to do great. Interesting thing, though, Johnny Blaze, makes a deal. He gets his power from the devil. So he's made a deal with Mephisto. So it would make sense. It would make sense if Ironheart is involved in that movie. Now, I know just saying her name, some people are like, but it would make sense. Ironheart is where Mephisto debuted in the MCU. And Ironheart, like Ghost Rider, has made a deal with the devil. So actually, it would make less sense if she doesn't show up in that film. I don't have a lot of hope that she will show up in that film, but it would make sense if she did. Now, the Ironheart series itself was, I enjoyed it personally. And I know it was a lot better than people thought it was going to be or people expected it to be. And it's just a shame that they haven't mentioned her in anything really going forward. I don't know if that thing, the Champions, is still going to happen. I think she would have been involved in that, but yeah, I don't know. Just wait and see. But to me, it would make sense if she had some connection to Ghost Rider, But once again, wait and see. Doesn't look like it, but we'll see. So that's it. It's a quick one today. So what do you guys think? Do you think that Blade fell victim to the rule of 3, or do you think he was just unfortunately in developmental hell and Shang-Chi also, and or what? So leave it in the comments. Let us know what's on your mind, and we just got to see what happens next in the MCU. And maybe next week I'll finally get to getting back to comic books and talking about Spidey, who I've wanted to talk about for a while. And as of time of recording, Brand New Day is coming out this week. I already have tickets for that. So maybe next week's show will be some sort of review of Brand New Day. And so come back for that. Please do. But I can't guarantee that that's what the show will be about. Whatever it will be about, I'm sure it'll be good. And I hope you guys are there. All right. Coming up, my guy, SP0, he's going to talk about the comics that you should be reading this week. Till next time.
week goes to Transformers issue 34, Shredhead Rocks.
Thanks for spending some time talking comics and comics legends. If there's somebody that you'd like us to do a story on, leave it in the comments. While you're down there, like, subscribe, and do all those YouTube things.